I,
So
I guess
are
we're
we good
live.
to go, or are we waiting for something?
Yeah, so I guess we're live. So let's start today's session. Uh, Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to another amazing session of Slack platform community under this ongoing Global Pakistan Tech Summit. I would like to give a quick introduction about myself. My name is Hamza Tahir. I'm the chapter director of Slack platform community and startup grind Islamabad. Before we proceed to today's session, I would like to talk about our ongoing month-long Pakistan Tech Summit, which we're doing, which we're doing uh, during this month. We're hosting 200 plus speakers from across the world and definitely from Pakistan, doing great events like this one today, representing Pakistan's startups and showcasing Pakistan products from Pakistan. So at Slack platform community, we host also monthly events on topics involving startups, technologies, checking out new platform releases at Slack, talk about what we've built, learn from each other. So Slack platform community is also a global tech community having present in 80 plus cities around the world, including in Lahore, Islamabad, Karachi, and we're still expanding. So together with the support of AWS, we're super excited to be here today and hosting a fantastic session on build and AI-driven applications with Faisal Farooq. Thank you, Faisal, for honoring us with your presence. Uh, I would like to give the introduction of Faisal before we actually proceed to the session. Faisal is Startup Solutions Architect at AWS. He supports startup customers in US leverage AWS Cloud. In his prior role, he worked with Fortune 100 companies as a cybersecurity consultant. He has background in electrical engineering and loves to tinker with emerging technologies like ML, AI, and blockchain. So let's proceed to our today's session. Over to you, Fahad. Faisal.
Great. Thank you, Hamza. Thanks for the introduction, and thank you for inviting me to the Pakistan Tech Summit. First, I hope that everyone is safe and well in this new COVID world. Um, yeah, very excited to be speaking to the Pakistan Tech Summit community. I was talking to Hamza how I've watched some of the sessions, previous sessions, talks, and fireside chats. I think the community is vibrant and exciting and love problem solving. So very excited to be speaking with you all today. So jumping into the session, the agenda for my presentation is going to be a walkthrough of some of the AWS AI services. We'll talk about use cases, some reference architectures. I have some couple of demos that we'll get into. My goal with this session is to really empower you, the audience, with the knowledge on some of our AI services and enable the developers, engineers, data scientists, builders of all kinds on the bridge to build some of the AI capabilities in your applications or software systems, right? So we will tap through the agenda. Will be I'll give a brief history of AI ML. Then we'll tap through some of the AI services and look at actually the demo of a couple of them. So jumping in, kind of zooming out a little bit, AWS's mission is really to enable our customers, businesses, startups by putting machine learning in the hands of every developer. So, you can really be a scientist with a PhD or an application developer with no prior knowledge of machine learning, right? Or you could be a technologist just like myself who likes to tinker and, build cool applications. Uh, so that is the mission of putting machine learning in the hands of every developer. Now, let's actually kind of go back a little bit. So and define some of these terms: artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. There's a lot of buzz around these terms, so it's kind of good to level set. AI is actually over 60 years old, right? The term artificial intelligence was coined back in 1956. So the groundwork for AI and what AI was supposed to do was actually done over 60 plus years ago, right? So what was different back then? The obvious stuff, right? collecting data was hard. Computing power was limited, to say the least. Storage was extremely expensive. So although a lot of the algorithms were invented and scientists worked hard on them, the IT capabilities were simply not there to crunch complex models. And this is where cloud computing comes in. Cloud computing made computing power, storage, databases, all the building blocks you need to leverage the full potential of machine learning and AI, affordable, elastic, and on demand. Now, even if you're a student, you can train models that were literally impossible to train just a couple of years ago. So AI is the umbrella term, and there are so many disciplines within AI. Machine learning is one of them, and arguably the most successful one. But also, natural language processing is another discipline, and computer vision is another discipline. So let's tap into sort of machine learning a little bit. Um, Machine learning is basically applying algorithms to a structured data set. You can use statistical algorithms in machine learning per se, but there's also a subset of machine learning called deep learning. And deep learning is based on neural networks. So the goal here is to look at a data set that is labeled and that is annotated. Then you apply the algorithm to that data set and try to extract patterns from it. So for example, we have a customer, Skin Vision. It's one of our startup customers. What they have done is they built a mobile app. So you take picture with your smartphone of a spot or something that doesn't look right on your skin. You take that picture, upload it using their mobile app to their server. They apply image classification model, and in real time, the mobile app will tell you if you should talk to a doctor about this. So the way they have built this is they have this large database of pictures showing skin lesions and moles. They combine that with the expert knowledge of doctors, and then they have annotated this data. Then they train deep learning models on this data and integrate that in their mobile app. So, that is one example of using data with human expert knowledge and training a model to build an entire solution. Right. So let's tap into some of the services, AI ML services on AWS. And I think a helpful way to look at this is, we have categorized the stack in 3 layers. At the bottom, we have the machine learning framework and infrastructure. So this is aimed towards your machine learning experts, really enabling them to choose their framework of choice, like TensorFlow, Apache MXNet, Gluon, PyTorch, with a variety of GPU and CPU intensive instances. The second layer in the middle is the machine learning services layer. Now, this is what we call a platform layer, where developers can build, train, tune, and deploy machine learning models by using services like SageMaker or DeepLens or Mechanical Turk. The top layer is the AI services layer. So what is happening at this layer is we thought of the most popular patterns for customers for machine learning. We pre-train these models, and we have teams working on these models, making them available as an API for customers to consume. And this is a fully managed layer. So, you can see in the stack that if you want to be hands-on and go deep into building your own models, you have all the options available on AWS. So, you can be a developer with absolutely no machine learning experience or academic background, and can be using these features to build intelligent applications without the need to build or deploy your own deep learning models. And this is the layer, the AI services layer, that we'll be talking about in this session. So I think a good starting point is to explore your use case, right? So think about the the capabilities that you need, depending on your requirements. So you can decide to use one of these services or stitch together multiple services, which are API-driven, pre-trained machine learning models to achieve your desired outcome. You can infuse these capabilities into your existing applications or new applications. Think about how you can use some of these capabilities in some of your existing applications to really enhance your customer experience or streamline some manual process. What ends up happening, and what I see that is very creative with customers, is when you start using these services in conjunction to create a new experience for your customer or make a 10x improvement on some existing solution. So what we'll do next is we'll tab through some of the services. We'll look at some demo in the console that I've prepared, and then we'll finish it up. So starting off, the first service is our deep learning based image and video analysis service called Recognition. This is going to allow you to add intelligent image and video analysis to your applications using simple API endpoints. Now, you can use Recognition to identify people, scenes, objects, or face attributes in images to analyze and determine the characteristics like happiness, age, or facial hair. Recognition video has the ability to return bounding box coordinates, which is the specific location of the person or face in the frame. So, and we'll see that in action in the demo shortly. These are some of the use cases of Recognition. Now, with Recognition, you can also determine the likelihood of two faces being identical or the same person. And other use cases, there are neural network-based models that we use for celebrity recognition. So you can identify celebrities or people prominent in their fields using Recognition. This feature was actually used by Sky News at the royal wedding in London. Another use case is if you want to identify or filter inappropriate content or unsafe content, depending on your customer needs or business use case, you can do that with Recognition. Recognition can recognize text from images as well. So, for example, street names, captions, product names, or license plates. And the service Recognition Video, it can do everything that you can do with images, but also have the ability to incorporate video analysis in your use case. So detecting objects, scenes within videos, activity detection. What it is doing there is stitching together different frames together to identify what activities are taking place. So next, let's look at the Recognition demo. But before we jump into the demo, I'm gonna walk through some of the high level of what you're gonna look at. So this is going to be a engagement meter web application. It's hosted in S3, fronted by CloudFront, which is actually not shown in the picture here. And it's going to look at how engaged you are as a person on a live web video. It's using Recognition image analysis for that. So one of the main workflows in this application is the sentiment analysis. Let's actually jump into it, and I'll explain some of this while I'm talking through the demo. So let me bring in this here. Okay, let's allow my camera. All right, so we are in the web application here. Now, if when I start Recognition, it's going to detect my face and draw a bounding box around it. I think I need to refresh. There you go. So it has detected my face, and it's really doing two API calls. The first one is to take this live the feed from my camera and send it to recognition with a post call to the API, and it's taking the feed. It has the bounding box on my face, and it's detecting my sentiment, how engaged I am. So apparently, I'm very calm right now. So it's taking all these parameters and storing it in DynamoDB, which is our NoSQL database. And the second API call, it's a get API call to that DynamoDB database. It's fetching those parameters and displaying it on the screen. But also, if you see at the bottom, we have this spider chart. So it's going to aggregate the trends for the last hour and graph it on this spider chart. So just something very fun. So if I try to play around with it or smile, it should detect that I'm happy. Yeah, so 90% happy. Cool. Let me show you the DynamoDB database. So I have this. This is my DynamoDB console. I'm going to go into sentiment table and items. So this is where in real time it's sending all those parameters to the table. It has the time detected, and it's aggregating those values and showing it on that spider chart. Yeah. So just a fun demo here. Actually, the code for this is live on GitHub, so you can actually go in there, play around with it, deploy it in your AWS account. It's pretty fun. All right, let's jump back into the PowerPoint world. All right. So the next service is Amazon Textract. Now this service is going to allow you to extract text and data from documents. So Textract has pre-trained models, saving you time on coding data extraction models, because Textract has already trained the models on millions of documents for virtually every industry vertical. Textract takes OCR, optical character recognition, and combines the ability to understand complex text structures within documents, for example, tables or form-based data, and enables Textract to extract this information from a variety of different documents, including financial reports, medical records, tax forms. So the documents with structured data, you can automatically detect forms within their fields and values, and you can also detect tables within the cells. So looking at one example of it, this is a form with a table in it, and Textract is able to detect the column header values and extract the data in it. Another example, this is actually a pretty complex machine learning problem, where in this form you have the gender selection is the radio selection button, but Textract is able to extract that information and get you the data from it. Okay, so it supports synchronous operations for near real-time processing of smaller single-page documents, and asynchronous operations for large multi-page documents. So you can really scale your document processing with Textract. I think it's helpful to look at one of the reference architectures for Textract for indexing and searching documents. So on the screen, you're seeing, first you upload your documents to S3, which is Amazon's object storage service. S3 stands for Simple Storage Service. Then you send these documents to Textract and run them through and extract the data, and then output it into the Amazon Elasticsearch service, which will allow you to search through millions of documents quickly. So, not only extracting the data using TextRack, but also what becomes really useful is making it searchable using Elasticsearch. Now, you can take this example and think of different use cases in different industries and different verticals. This becomes really interesting. All right, moving along here. The next service is Amazon Transcribe, which is going to make it easy for you to convert speech to grammatically correct text. So for you as a developer, there's no need for complicated programming for this. Simple API call with a few lines of code, and Transcribe will return the text from your audio files stored in S3. Now, with Transcribe, you can add new words to the base vocabulary and generate highly accurate transcriptions specific to your use case, such as product names, domain or industry-specific terminology, or names of individuals. What Transcribe does, it uses deep learning to add punctuation or formatting automatically, so the output is more intelligible. And it can be used without any further editing. But if for your use case, you can create a workflow where you have a human in the loop to confirm the audio transcription before it is used. Now, Transcribe can also recognize speakers change and attribute the text accordingly. So for example, if you were transcribing podcast, it can detect the two speakers and attribute the transcription to the appropriate speaker accordingly. You can process audio and video files where each speaker is recorded on a different channel. And Transcribe also returns timestamps for each of the words, which is going to allow you to easily locate the audio in the original recording by searching for the text. So looking at a reference architecture for Transcribe, so you have your audio or video input files. You can store them in S3, the object storage service. The workflow can be that as soon as a new file is uploaded, a Lambda function, which is our event-driven compute service, kicks off a Transcribe job. And it waits for the job to finish. And when it is done, you can then do some post-processing. Now, this post-processing could include enrichment of data, where you know your use case and you know some facts about that are specific to your business that you want to bubble up. In the slide, I'm showing Athena, which is our serverless query service. So you can run standard SQL standard queries on your data, and then you're using QuickSight to be able to quickly visualize that information. Okay, so the next service is in the AI services portfolio is Amazon Translate, which is going to deliver fast, high quality, fluent, and affordable language translation. Translate is a general purpose machine translation. And as of today, we support 55 languages and some variants. And yes, we support Urdu as a language. So that will be an interesting use case for the Pakistani audience. It can support near real-time applications with the latency of under 500 milliseconds for average sentences and 150 millisecond for an average short sentence. Now, within Translate, there's this concept of sentence tag handling that ensures that your source to target text styling and formatting is maintained. This is useful for translating HTML files. Translate can also do automatic language detection and translation. So if you just throw some text at Translate, it's able to detect what language it is. Getting started with Translate is super simple. It is available through SDK. Most implementations require a few lines of code and you're up and running. With Translate, really think about the high volume and time sensitive content like reviews or tweets or social media content, where a human or manual translation is expensive and time consuming. This is where Translate can help gaining insight into some of that data. So imagine a use case where a company and the business is operating in multiple countries, and you're collecting insights from in multiple languages. Translate is going to allow you to bring that data and text and conduct analysis on it. This is great for analyzing and understanding your customer pain points, whether they are expressing it in Urdu or English. Okay. One of our customers using Translate is Arabic Digital Reform Institute. They are a New Zealand-based social enterprise, and the way they're using Translate is to provide real-time, accurate translation services for scholarly content from English to Arabic. So that's just one use case by one of our customers. Okay, so moving on, the next service is Amazon Lex, which provides high quality language understanding capabilities to your natural language chatbot. So anyone on the bridge that's passionate about building chatbots, this is for you. Now it is helpful to understand the conversational interface concepts of Amazon Lex. And just a fun fact, so Amazon Alexa is some of the capabilities of chatbots underneath is powered by Amazon Lex. So if you use Amazon Alexa, you're kind of using Lex in the background. So jumping into the key concepts of Lex, these are intents, utterances, slots, and fulfillment. Starting with intents. So intents are what you mean or what you intend when you say something. So for example, if I want to say, if I say I want to book a hotel, the intention is that I want to book a hotel. The next is utterances. So utterance is what you say that has meaning or intent. So in the previous example of booking a hotel, the utterance you're looking for is booking a hotel. Now there may be many utterances that has the same meaning, or multiple utterances can lead to a single intent. Next is slots. So these are interesting. So slots are like variables or parameters that you need for users to provide value for during a conversational exchange in order to fulfill the intent. And slots have data types like time, location, or date, things like that. So you specify the type when you define a slot, and once you have received all the slot values from the user, then you are ready to fulfill the intent. And fulfillment is what we want to happen as a result of the interaction. And normally that is when you would want to perform a task like updating a database or triggering a workflow. In the example I gave of booking a hotel, it would be like calling a third-party API to actually book the hotel. Okay. So on this slide, I'm just showing the UI, the Amazon Lexus UI in the console. This is pretty fun to play around with, actually. You can design your end-to-end workflow from here, or use the APIs depending on your use case. So utterances, slots, all the values that you need, and at the bottom right, you're actually able to test the bot with the test interface. Okay, so Lex really becomes powerful or useful when you kind of like use it in conjunction with other services. So you can consume it through the SDK, console, or API, but really using custom actions. So Lambda, when you're fulfilling the intent, you can, using Lambda, you can trigger any third-party API, to order the pizza or buy something. So that becomes really a interesting use case, with Lex. Now, Lex, the use cases. Think of use cases in informational bots, application bots. We have seen some interesting use cases in contact center of Amazon Lex. And also Internet of Things. So if you have IoT devices and you want to give it some you want to power it by Amazon Lex, that is also another interesting use case. Okay. Next, this is interesting. So Amazon Polly, it is our text-to-speech service that uses deep learning to synthesize speech that sounds like a human voice. And I'll actually let Polly introduce.
Hi, my name is Polly. I'm very excited to be attending Global Pakistan Tech Summit.
All right. Thank you, Polly. So Polly supports 25 languages and 50 different voices. You can build near real-time applications using Polly's API. It supports lexicons and SSML tags. This was interesting, when I was trying to get Polly to pronounce my name right. I really had two options there. Upload a lexicon file with an alias tag. But what I did, I used the in-console SSML tag editor to include a subtag and added an alias for my name with a spelling differently. That turned out to be the correct pronunciation. So we'll actually look at it in the console in a bit. Lexicons are really useful for developers to customize the pronunciation of words. You can specify pronunciation using phonetic alphabet. So product names or names of organizations, you can change the way it sounds inflections. So for example, reading exclamation marks, you can customize control aspects of speech, such as volume or speech rate. So a lot of ways to customize Polly. I think what I want to do is show you how I actually got Polly to say my name right. All right. So let's actually jump into this. So this is the AWS console. And I'm going to go into Polly service. So this is the Polly's in-console experience. Pretty simple. You have a plain text here. You have choices for different voices. You can choose what language you would want. And this is where you would upload a lexicon file, which has the specifications for how you want different words or customizations. Let's just run this one and see how it works. So it's pretty simple. If I run this, it will actually synthesize the text.
Hi, my name is Joanna. I will read any text you type here.
Right. But what's interesting is in the SSML tag editor, let me bring in what I want it to speak. Right. So in this case, I was teaching Polly to pronounce my name, but let's have it pronounce it like it would normally. This is fun.
My name is Polly. I'm learning how to pronounce Faisal's name.
So if you heard it, it said Faisal, which I think is not the correct pronunciation. So what we can do is replace my name with the spelling with two S's and E's, and that turns out to be the correct pronunciation. So I'm going to rerun it.
My name is Polly. I'm learning how to pronounce Faisal's name.
All right, so I think this time we got it right. It said Faisal. So that's just one way of showcasing how you can customize Polly. This could include, let's say, if you had acronyms in your business use case. So like in Amazon's use case, let's say S3, which is simple storage service. So let's say if I wanted every time the word S3 comes up to say simple storage service, that's how I would go about it. Right, that would be the case. And you can really upload a lexicon file, large lexicon file with all kinds of customizations. Cool. Let's jump back into the PowerPoint world. Time check. Okay. Okay, so the next service is Amazon Comprehend, which is a fully managed, continuously trained service that is going to help you extract insights from your unstructured text. And these are some of the features of Amazon Comprehend. These are API endpoints that you can connect to, and these are powered by deep learning models. So you can extract sentiment from data. It could be positive, negative, mixed sentiment, or neutral. Now, looking at sentiment analysis, if you're looking to find out sentiment from text, so for example, you are analyzing tweets or for sentiment or customer reviews, you can really build your entire system around Comprehend for it. So, for example, it can extract entities like people, organizations, numbers, and dates, commercial items from the text, key phrases, which gives you the ability to extract important information in a text. Like, so let's say if you had a review and you were looking for how many people liking the product or service, you could extract, something like my hotel was amazing in reviews. You can customize Comprehend to identify terms that are specific to your business domain. So you can input some text to Comprehend, and it will actually detect the language. And in fact, the translate auto language detection feature, so the translate the service that we just talked about, it uses Comprehend in the background for its auto detect language capabilities. The language detection API comes in handy when you have customers around the globe and you want to understand what your customers are saying in their native language. Right. I do have a kind of like a short demo of sentiment. So let's jump back into, in this case, my terminal. I increase the font on my terminal just so you can see it correctly. So I'm going to run this command. So in this case, I'm using the AWS CLI to run comprehend command. In this case, calling the detect sentiment API with the passing in the language code to be English. And this is the text that I want the sentiment on. So if I just run it, it's going to give me a sentiment. In this case, it's saying it's positive. I said I love cloud computing. And it's giving me a sentiment score for different parameters. So positive is 99% sure it's positive, negative, neutral, and mixed. If I look for a different text, so let's say if I say, I don't like coffee because I like tea. It's going to, it's detecting the sentiment to be negative. It's 95% sure that if this is negative. Let's try one more. In this case, I'll say, I'm not sure if I like hiking. Right, and in this case, this is a neutral sentiment. It's 79% sure that it's neutral. But really, you could code in a way that these thresholds are different for you. So positive could be anything above 80% is positive for your use case, or for the other sentiments. Cool. Back into PowerPoint. So what I talked about earlier, right, kind of like infusing different services together to really build the entire solution. And and this is one of it. So we have a service called Amazon Connect, and you can think of it as software-defined call center, right? So let's look at kind of infusing these different capabilities together to build the entire end-to-end solution. So you have Amazon Connect, you have your call recordings, you're storing them in S3, our object storage service. Then you are using AWS step functions to orchestrate different tasks you would want to happen. So you could have different Lambda functions, do different things. Step functions, you can really think of it as a bunch of state machines. So in this case, first, using Transcribe, we are transcribing the audio from the call recordings. So get it to English text. Then we are running comprehend to extract insights from that text. So key phrases, entities, and the sentiment, and we're storing it back into S3. So that's the case for the workflow for your call recordings, where you maybe for the day's worth you have the for the past week, the call recordings you're running this workflow on. But also you can run it on live audio. So you have your live audio going through Amazon Kinesis Data Firehose, which is able to stream the audio straight into S3. And then you're using Athena, which is our serverless query service. You can run SQL queries on your data in S3. You query that, and you visualize it using our Amazon QuickSight, the visualization service. So this becomes really useful where you're using different services. We have AI services, in this case Transcribe and Comprehend, and to build the entire end-to-end solution. Okay. I do want to run a demo of one of the call center solutions that we have. So I'm gonna run it now.
Thank you for calling Support Associates. My name is Nikki. How can I help you today, Mr. Elhagen?
Hi, Nikki. I've been a customer for 2 years now, and I just received a notice that the special pricing I got when I first signed up is about to expire in 2 weeks. I called yesterday and I spoke to Bob, but unfortunately, he wasn't very much help. I checked your competitor's website, and they are offering better pricing. I plan on switching providers if you can't match their price. Is there anything you can do for me to renew the promotional pricing?
Right, so in this case, you saw that in real time you're translating text to in this case Spanish. Maybe the call center rep is in a different country, and then in real time it's suggesting different actions based on the text. So using comprehend to extract the sentiment, key phrases, doing analysis on that text. And the cool emoji was helpful to kind of like get the customer sentiment. Cool. So we have 2 more services to go. Amazon Personalize. This is going to make it simple for developers to create and individualize recommendations for customers. You can use Personalize with almost any product or content to deliver high quality recommendations in real time. So you can have all sorts of data as input to Personalize. You can provide an activity stream from your application, like page views or signups and purchases, along with history, inventory of items that you would want to recommend. It could be articles, products, videos, and also include demographic information from your use cases, such as age or location. The output will be a customized, personalized recommendations API for you to consume in your application. So Personalize has some really interesting use cases, for e-com or any use case that you can think of. The next service is Amazon Forecast, which uses machine learning to deliver highly accurate forecasts. It combines time series data with traditional variables to build a forecast. You can leverage it for high-level business use cases like supply chain forecasting, sales forecasting, web traffic, advertising, or demand forecasting. So we talked about a lot of services. What I want to do is, give you a call to action to go explore some of these services in action. So we have this site I'm showing on the slide, AI Services Demo, and you can actually go in there and play around with some of the services that we talked about. So get Polly to go from text to speech, transcribe to transcribe the audio files, things like that. And you don't need any account sign up or anything like that. And you can go in there and explore some of the API endpoints too, and get some hands-on experience. So that's one way to get up and running. Also, I want to share some of the resources. So if you want to get into the console and start building, we have a free tier, and most of the services that I talked about, they are in the free tier. So if you're building a POC or a demo, that would be fun. Also, there are hands-on tutorials on different kind of like services. So the link I'm sharing under getting started on AWS, it'll be a helpful one. And also blogs. I love our blog section. It's really an insight into how you can really stitch together different services or leverage some of the features in those services. Also, under communities, if you are interested in AWS services or building AWS on AWS, I recommend joining the AWS User Group Pakistan on Facebook. And lastly, if you want to dive deep into machine learning and AI, we have a machine learning certification. So I recommend checking it out. There's also courses on Coursera that you can take. All right, with that, thank you very much. It was fun to be delivering this. I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn, so say hello, with any comments, questions, or feedback. Happy to chat with folks. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Faisal. Before we wrap up the session, there are some pretty interesting questions. If you have a couple of minutes to answer them.
Yep. Go ahead. Let's do it.
So they're in the live comments. So the first one is from Sonia Hussain. Is it easy to implement recognition, Amazon recognition, the first service you talked about?
Yeah. So with recognition, what's really helpful is we have the in console experience where you can actually go in the console and play around with some of the services. But all the services I mentioned, they have API endpoints are simple. So they have SDKs. If you have already built an application, you can import. You can use the API to incorporate recognition into some of your use cases. So I would say check out the in console recognition experience, and you can actually do a lot of the testing of recognition. Like if you upload a picture and you wanted to recognize what's in the picture, like is it a person, is it a car, is it a mountain, things like that. So I would say easy to get up and running.
Yeah. So there's some other questions and some comments as well. So moving to the next question, it's from Daniel. Assalamu alaikum. I'm ML and DL Flutter developer. I want to connect my deep learning model, which is sales forecasting model, with my Flutter application. My question is, how can I achieve it using AWS services?
Yeah, so that's interesting. I don't have experience with Flutter, but if you want to connect your deep learning model with sales forecasting, if your model is already trained, or I'm not sure if Daniel is looking to actually train the model, that would be the second layer I talked about, the SageMaker. It really gives you a suite of options to build, train, and deploy models. And what's interesting is that once you have done that, you can expose that model using an API endpoint. So you can put API gateway in front of your model and really expose. So let's say you would want to say, give me the forecast for month of March, and that would be like an API endpoint. And in the background, it's calling the model for that forecasting.
That's great. So there's another question from him again. Is it possible to train Polly on my voice?
So we do have custom voice for Poly. I'm not sure actually if you can train it on your voice. So that's an interesting question. But I think I don't think you can do it in the console. It would be like there's a way in the docs that says that reach out. There's a form you fill if you want to like have a custom voice for Poly in addition to all the voices that you already have. So I recommend checking that out and see if that fits your use case.
Can we customize it to do forecast stock market with high accuracy?
Yeah, that's interesting, right? It's really sort of depends on the data, but forecast is really kind of like a general purpose forecasting service. You can use it for stock price. How accurate it is. It will depend on the data and all those parameters. But you can check, try and check in and out, and I think it'll be useful. I recommend looking into if there is a blog post. I'm not sure. I will look that up first and see if somebody already did it and how was their experience.
Yeah. So from Mohammed Iqbal, what do you suggest on modeling intelligence for real-time air quality, humidity, and temperature data?
Yeah, so I think it's if you're collecting for that from IoT sensors, a lot of data, right? It will be a typical if you already have data annotated and labeled, and you know what model you want to run on. You can use SageMaker. You can to really kind of like do your modeling and model building. But if you already have really structured data set, I could imagine, you could, you don't have to train the entire model yourself. You could just bring it in, deploy the model, and start testing it. But I would recommend checking out SageMaker. If you go in the console and type SageMaker, it will come up. And that is really the end-to-end suite of, having a data set. It also has managed Jupyter notebooks, so you can do entire testing from within the console on the Jupyter notebooks, and then deploy the model.
Yeah, so the next one is from Aaron. There's also ML Kit of Firebase Google, which give offline case for mobile dev. What about AWS? Is there any such thing?
Offline kit for mobile tab. So I don't think I understand the question. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah, it's good. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah.
No, I actually see the comments. I was in a different tab. Cool. A lot of comments.
Yes, actually, it was pretty informative for me as well, being a developer myself. Like I was previously using Firebase, but from your session, I'll definitely explore services like even recognition, Lex, and Poly definitely. And through these, I would definitely love to compare the results, especially with the recognition. And previously, I was using Inception V3 to train my models and to do the image classification for my startup, but I'll definitely explore recognition as well. And there was another use case recently I heard about. Recognition was also used in New York Police Department, I guess, for the recognition of the faces to track lost people. But I guess Amazon recently stopped that service for the people to use at the police stations. Yeah. So I guess that's it from the question session, and we're also run out of the time. So thank you so much for joining us, everyone, and I'm really honored to have you here, Faisal. And thank you so much for your important time and such an informative session from the audience point of view. Really looking forward to host you some other time again. Maybe at our upcoming Starbrand conference next year, hopefully in Pakistan. So would love to collaborate in the future as well. And thank you so much for the support from AWS.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of fun for me, and I hope this was in person, and definitely next year. If it's in person, I would love to join and come speak to the community again. Thank you all for all the questions. It was fun. Thanks, Hamza.
Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.